Okay, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I want to give congratulations so far to the Patriots, the Ravens, the Falcons, and most importantly, as far as I'm concerned, living here in Northern California, the San Francisco 49ers. Basically, we're down to the Final Four here in the NFL playoffs. The two conference championships. Now, what's unique about this is you only have one #1 seed left out of all four. The #1 seed, of course, is the Atlanta Falcons. The others, of course, are #2 seed NFC, the #2 NFC team, which is my team, the Niners. The #2 AFC team, the New England Patriots. And I believe the #4 team, Baltimore Ravens. Now, the question is, who is advancing? Well, a majority of the time, we have been proven that at least one team with home field advantage makes it to the Super Bowl. Where the other team, whether it's the AFC or the NFC, is a road team, and they went on the road and they make it to the Super Bowl. Let me give you a prime example. Last year, as much as I hate to say this, and everybody knows this, the Giants, the New York Giants, who did not make the playoffs this year, and no offense to any Giants fans, you guys got a great team. It was just this close. You guys had a great team, there's no doubt about it. But the thing is, the New York Giants came to our backyard in San Francisco and beat the Niners in a very, very good game. So now, the question remains, is it the 49ers' turn to go to Atlanta and beat the Falcons? Because you see, if this happens, of course there's many possibilities, many possible matchups to happen, many scenarios, if you will. For example, we could have San Francisco against New England. Now this would be a rematch from earlier this year when San Francisco played, I think, on a Monday night or Sunday night in New England and beat them. So you know that the Patriots would want nothing more than to get their hands on my team, the 49ers. On the other hand, you have Atlanta, who has not been to the Super Bowl in about 14 years. That's right, 14 years they have not been there. The thing is, can they do it again? Can they do it for the second time in franchise history? See, that is the question. Will they do it? Then, of course, you have the Baltimore Ravens. This is a huge scenario for them. Ray Lewis basically announcing that whenever their season is over, he's done. He's going into retirement. But the question is, when will it be done? Well, as far as Baltimore and Ray Lewis are concerned, it ain't going to be done until they're hoisting that Vince Lombardi trophy in New Orleans. That's when it will be done. So that's one scenario to look at, the fact that Ray Lewis will not allow his team to go out on a bad note, that he will not allow himself to go out on a bad note, that he will not allow his season to end until it ends in New Orleans, and with that Vince Lombardi trophy. So that's one scenario if you're a Baltimore fan, knowing that Ray Lewis is not going to leave a failure. He's not going to leave without that Vince Lombardi trophy. Now, as far as the possible matchups, again, like I said, New England and San Francisco is probably the heavy favorite because people would like, New England would like a rematch. But then you have what a lot of people are saying is the possibility, the strongest of all. That's the Patriots and the Falcons. Now the Falcons, of course, like I say, they want to get back there. They want to do what they couldn't do 14 years ago, and that's win that Vince Lombardi trophy, win the Super Bowl. But the thing is, they got to go against one of probably the best rushing quarterbacks we have right now, Calvin Kaepernick, and that 49ers offensive and defensive lines. They got to go through that. And as far as I know, looking up at the schedule of this past season, neither team has faced each other until this Sunday. Now, let's take a look at the advantage. The advantage as far as Atlanta goes is they still have home field advantage, and it's at home. Oh, of course. It is at home, which means that place is going to be a sellout, and it's going to be very noisy. It'll basically be what is known as the 12th man for Atlanta. But then on the other hand, you have San Francisco, who has not been to the Super Bowl since the mid-90s. Almost 20 years. 20 years almost. Going on 18 years now, 20 years. They have not been to the Super Bowl. And they want to get back there again. And what's ironic about this, though, if I look back on it, the last time both Atlanta and San Francisco were in the Super Bowl, both teams were playing in the Super Bowl in Florida, as far as I know. And I think it was both in Miami. I could be wrong. But that's the last I remember. So it's ironic that two teams who last played in the Super Bowl, in Super Bowls that were in Florida, in the state of Florida, are going to be facing each other for a chance to go to New Orleans. And for San Francisco, like I said, it's about wanting it. It's about really wanting it. And knowing that they're going to go into a hostile environment. Knowing that they've got to do what very few teams have done this year, and that's beat Atlanta in the Georgia Dome. To me, this is going to be a great game. And I am pulling for the 49ers. I am. The other advantage as well is the fact for the 49ers is they had a day to rest. So they had that extra day to rest. Before they have to start working out, getting on a plane and heading down south. For Atlanta, they had to play on Sunday, and they had to play in a very, very tight game. As far as San Francisco goes, they had a good game as well. Green Bay showed that they were willing to do whatever it took to get to that NFC Championship, but San Francisco won by 14. And that's the biggest difference in advantage. And that's what a lot of people are going to look up and say, this is like a not available toss-up. You had one team, even San Francisco, win by 14 against a great and good Green Bay team. But then you had the #1 overall seed in the NFC struggle against the #5 seed Seattle Seahawks. I mean, I'll be quite honest with you. I thought, from the last time I saw it, I thought Atlanta was going to walk all over Seattle, but Seattle proved them wrong. So now, the question's going to be, who's going to be more ready? Well, like I said, San Francisco has that one-day rest advantage, while Atlanta does not. See, yeah, they'll get a day of rest, but they're going to have a shorter workout schedule than San Francisco. See, San Francisco is going to have that one-day advantage of resting, and having that extra day of working out and practicing. And the same could be said for Baltimore. Baltimore, in a very tight double overtime game, beat Denver, the #1 seed Denver Broncos in Denver. And what many people, including my family, my family and friends said on Saturday was a very good game. Back and forth. No doubt about it. Two good teams, back and forth. So they got that extra rest. However, the disadvantage they have is probably the same disadvantage that Atlanta could have. And that is they both had very tight games they played. So even though Baltimore has that one extra day to rest, and as far as today's probably concerned, that one extra day of practice, they're still going to feel a little bit of fatigue from going into double overtime against Denver. Where as far as New England's concerned, yeah, they're not going to have an extra day. They're going to have a day to rest, but they're going to have less days to practice and train. But the difference is they have the advantage of knowing they didn't have to play in a tight game, that they beat their team within, I think, the span of 13 points or something. So that's the advantage that New England has, the fact that they didn't have to play an double overtime game, or New England has. fact that they didn't have to play a double overtime game. They beat their team by 13, just like San Francisco beat Green Bay by 14. And again, though, because both games were very good, but the thing is, now the question is going to be, who wins it? And as far as I'm concerned, both conference championships are toss-ups. You know, you don't know who's going to win. I mean, honestly, I would love to see Jim and John, the coaches of Baltimore and San Francisco, I'd like to see the teams meet in the Super Bowl. I'd like to see it. But, you know, as much as I'd like to see that, I'm with a lot of New England fans. I'd love to see the Patriots face the 49ers in a rematch from, I think, a Sunday night or Monday night game. But then again, as much as I'd like to see Ravens-Niners, Patriots-Niners, I got to give the other teams their due. I got to give Atlanta their due. Yeah, they had a tight game against Seattle, but who knows? We might see an all-birds Super Bowl, if you get what I'm saying. You could have Falcons against Ravens. Or you could have what many consider the second best, if not the best team in the AFC, New England, against the overall number 1 seed, best team in the NFC, in Atlanta, as far as people are concerned, have Atlanta, New England. But the question is, will that happen? No one really knows. Now, I know a lot of people, and heck, I'll even throw me and my dad and my family in this as well. We know that Atlanta is closer to New Orleans. So I know a lot of people, including myself and my brother-in-laws and my father and everybody, is going to think that San Francisco is going to have a hard time, not just with Atlanta, but with the Reds, if you know what I'm talking about. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. I'm praying, I pray to God that does not happen and we have a decent game. I mean, when you look at Green Bay's game against San Francisco, one thing that our family looked at, and I'm sure my dad looks at this the same way, and he's in Kansas, is the fact that it seemed that the referees at times were favoring the Green Bay Packers. In fact, I think my brother-in-law, my second older sister's husband, said it best. Basically, to him, it seemed like the officials were getting the memos of, hey, try your best to make sure Green Bay moves on. Which, of course, blew up in their faces. So hopefully that does not happen, even though it'll be in Atlanta. Again, it's going to be a hostile environment, and I believe it's going to be a good game. And I know it's going to be a good game in Baltimore and New England. But the question is, who wants it more? You got to look at that. You got to look at the advantages and disadvantages both teams have. I mean, like Atlanta, New England's got the advantage of being at home. So we'll just have to see and wait. And if everything goes, though, you know, one team's way, it goes their way. But we'll just have to wait and see. Now, here's the thing, though. The time frame, though, may play the timing. Now, here's the thing about the NFC Championship. It's at noon Pacific time, basically 3:30 their time. So we're going to see if that plays any effect. Like I said, it could give San Francisco an advantage, and it could give Atlanta an advantage. But we have to wait and see. Baltimore and New England might give Baltimore an advantage, might give New England an advantage. We'll have to see what happens as far as the timing goes. But that's all I'm going to say on both championships. Again, both games are toss-ups, and we'll just have to see which teams want it most. Comment and video response down below what your thoughts are. Who do you think is going to go? Who do you think wants it more? And I'll talk to you later.